You're listening to the Author Inside You podcast, a weekly podcast designed to motivate you to finish writing a book, choose a publisher, and have your work build an audience. Keep listening if you're looking to get propelled into the next chapter of your life. And now, it's the Author Inside You podcast with your host, Leah and Matt Rafferty.
Hello and welcome to the Author Inside You podcast. I'm Matt Rafferty.
And I'm Leah Rafferty.
Joining us today is Irene Gabelnick, author of Zipping It Up, How to Lose 5 Pounds Fast and Look Great in That Little Black Dress. Irene is the mother of 2, a writer, and a longtime health and fitness expert. As a volunteer, she was a member of the Disaster Action Team with the American Red Cross, taught first aid and CPR, mentored a refugee through the Priscilla Project, and currently educates the public about giving blood and being an organ donor. Welcome, Irene. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Leah. Hi, Matt. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, Irene, I think you sound like you're a wonderful person. You're doing a lot of good volunteering, and it seems that volunteering seems to run through your theme of your life. So is that how you chose to help others lose weight?
That's such a great question because I don't really know what it is, but my whole life I've just always felt a need and a desire to give back and to help others. And in the past, it's been through volunteer work, and obviously I've been in outside sales for years and worked as a realtor for a long time. But now that I've changed my career into a full-time writing career, and I now have this desire to help others get published and become published authors. But this particular book, I actually use these methods when I want to lose 5 pounds fast.
Okay.
Whether it's for a vacation, or Leah, you're getting ready for that event, and you're picking the dress out of the closet and, run to the dry cleaners, right? And sometimes you put it on and you're like, oh, not this one.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, yes.
You want to be able to zip it up, right?
Right, cute, yeah.
So exactly, I wanted to help others do the same thing. Just, a quick 1 week, what to do to make sure you drop a couple quick pounds, without starving yourself, because, I'm not very nice when I'm hungry.
Yes, right.
Yeah. So writing the book about weight loss, did you learn that by being a health and fitness expert?
That's a really good question, Matt. I've been, I guess, a health and fitness fanatic since I ran cross country in high school. So it's just kind of another thing that's been ingrained in me. I've always exercised. I've rock climbed. I'm an avid runner. Done just a lot of things, mountain biked. I've just always really cared about health and fitness and eating healthy and making sure that my family eats healthy too. So it's just something that was easy for me to write because I just followed my methods and what I do and how I live my lifestyle. So it really was an easy process for me to put it on paper. Getting it together and putting into a book, now that's another story.
So it's interesting because you're bringing a lot of people write things and they don't want to share it, or not that they don't want to share it, but they don't know how to share it. Did you at first say, maybe I should have a blog, or did you say right away, maybe I'm going to put this into a book?
I did actually start a blog first. And I put together a newsletter that I was promoting and thinking about selling. And when I started my blog, it started as a parenting blog, but I kept finding myself writing about health and fitness because you're talking about your everyday life. And that's what people seemed to want to know about. Well, how are you healthy and fit? How do you stay thin at your age? How do you eat healthy? How can you help me? And so it just kind of started steering that way. And I'm also working on a recipe book. So I do have a couple of recipes in my book. And like I said, it just kind of came natural to me to write about it because it's just how I live.
Well, that's wonderful. It's also nice because sometimes we all get in a rut and we can't see things differently than, what we see every day, So it's nice that you are offering advice where people can open up their eyes or open up their mind and say, oh, I can do this. I just needed a little nudge, or I needed some help. I needed someone to teach me.
Exactly. And the methods that I share, I mean, there's nothing new here. I mean, this isn't new, it's not any crazy fancy diet. I mean, I don't even call it a diet, although it is a high protein, low carb diet just for the week. But I also share ways on how to keep it off, how to incorporate healthy living into your everyday lifestyle, and how to squeeze exercise in on really busy days, which is really challenging for most of us.
Right, that's true. It is. You think, oh my gosh, I don't have time to get all sweaty for a half hour, 45 minutes or something.
Right. And then what happens? Then you say, oh, well, no, I don't have time today. But what I found, and especially now becoming a writer, I'm busier than I've ever been. And trying to squeeze in that exercise, if I just throw on my running shoes and go for a 10-minute run, I feel 10 times better. Just because I got my heart
getting the exercise,
pumping.
right. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And some days I break it up. I'll get up 10 minutes earlier. I'll just, throw in a, block Pilates and, do 10 minutes of core. Then I'll take a 10-minute run or go for a 20-minute walk, take a little lunch break. And then later in the day, we'll do something like throw on some music and dance around the kitchen.
Yes, those are fun. Dance parties, we used to say. I would say to my kids, all right, we're going to have a dance party.
Exactly. That's exactly what we do. That's so funny.
Just to get them up moving during the day, like on a snowy day when nothing's happening.
And every calorie counts.
Right.
Every calorie counts, right? I mean, take the stairs instead of walk. Again, things that you don't already know. But I do point out, one of the first things I point out in my book, if you're doing them, you wouldn't be reading my book.
Right. Sure. Yep.
So do them.
Yeah,
do them.
Right.
Actually do them.
Irene, you mentioned earlier that you're a full-time author now. So how did that come about? How did you go from writing one book to becoming a full-time author?
I'm writing 5.
Oh, wow.
Right now?
I know, and that's actually my problem, because what I had to do, because I have so many ideas, so many book ideas, and this is really where I want my career to go and my path to go, because when I get into that flow and I start to write, I just get lost in it. So what I had to do was pick one. I had to pick one book, and I picked the easiest one for me because it was just, like I said, these are my methods. I didn't have to research. This is just my knowledge. And I just had to pick a date, and I set a goal, a deadline, and I just did it. I got it done in the nick of time. And thank you. It took me a lot longer than I expected because the publishing process was, I thought it would maybe take a couple of days, but I had to research. I had to figure out how to format everything, get a graphic designer, get my book cover done. So that entire process took me almost as long as it took me to write the book.
Wow.
Because I whipped the book out quickly because a lot of the content did come from my blog. So it was easy to just take that information and then form it into words. So I'd been writing the book for months. I just needed to revise it and edit it, put it together, do the chapters.
Who did you end up using for your self-publishing?
I ended up going with KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, and I've been very, very happy with it. I actually didn't do that much research looking at KDP versus CreateSpace. And there are definitely pros and cons to both, but KDP being the newer Amazon publishing company, I think it really is going to be the next best thing.
Great.
We'll see. It was a very easy process. And now that I know the process, every time I go back in and I revise something or make an edit to the book, it's just so simple. It really is. Once you know the process, it really was a very easy transition to get everything up and running.
Well, that's nice to hear because, it can be so frustrating when you're trying, what you want to do, but you can't get it to the program to work. and you're just like, this is too much.
It can just figuring out how to break up the pages to get the page numbers correct, so you don't have pages on, your intro or your dedication. I mean, it's just little things like that can be so time consuming, and it can be very frustrating. But then once you know how to do it, it just becomes so much easier.
Right. So, and I imagine with you're working on a cookbook, I imagine you need to have some some photographs of the food that you're creating. Is that correct? Are you using photographs in your cookbook?
I am, and I took a photography course, and I actually take all of my own pictures because they're my recipes,
great,
right? I mean, they're mine.
Yes.
So I pull out the china and I make them really pretty.
Great,
that is nice.
But
You are very resourceful.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I actually think what I need to do though is learn how to, start utilizing more help. And
that's hard though. That is something very hard to do. Yeah, because it's your name on it, and
right. You have an idea of what the photos are going to look like. And then when you take the photos, there's nobody to blame, right?
But that was one of my many challenges, because the pictures look great on Kindle, but in paperback, they were horrible. So I had to remove all of the pictures. And so for my cookbook, I'm really going to have to think about getting a professional photographer or learning exactly how to get the right size and the right image, because I really want that to be done right. So it's not something that I'm hurrying. It's a project that, I don't need to get done right away. I'm creating new recipes and adding them. And then once I'm ready, I might even go through a publisher with that one, but we'll see.
Right. So you put photos in your Kindle book and they looked great. And then when it was actually printed, maybe they used the low resolution photo for the Kindle so that it downloads more quickly. And then what could it possibly be that the low resolution photo was used in the print version also? And that's why they didn't look good?
They did warn me. They warned me that the resolution was not going to look very good. And I chose to ignore it. And I said, it'll be fine, because they looked so great, when I was, in the Kindle version, when I was looking at my preview. But once I got my, my first book to make sure everything was okay, I just took them out. I just immediately took them out and said, okay, it's not really necessary. It's my first book. It's been a great learning experience. Are the pictures really going to help sell the book anymore? And I just thought, I'm not going to worry about it for this one, but now I know what to do, for the next one.
Great. What about editing? Did you have someone look at your book?
I did have my brilliant daughter read through it. It's funny because you really do learn from your kids, right? And I always proof her papers for her. And, we edit them, but I ended up editing it again several times after publishing it, just because I kept finding. I mean, every time you edit it, you find something, right? But finally, I felt pretty good about it, and then I thought, well, gosh, I should be an editor. I think I did. What else can I do? Let's just throw another thing on there, right?
Right.
In retrospect, I think with like I'm also writing a sci-fi thriller, so I think with a longer book, instead of investing that time and energy, I will just have someone edit it for me and just not worry about it and feel really confident that it's done right.
So let's see, a self-help book, a cookbook, and
suspense mystery thriller. Yeah.
Suspense thriller.
Yeah.
So you don't just dabble in one type of writing, do you?
But I do that for fun. I mean, that's what I do for fun.
And that's wonderful.
That is great.
Yes,
yeah.
It's absolutely wonderful. It's nice to be so talented.
So which is the most challenging?
I think right now, It's working on my website. It's not even a book. I think the challenging part is once you set that deadline, and it's great when it's accomplished, but it's really, it becomes a little overwhelming when you have a deadline and you just need to get it all done, and you're dealing with those little frustrations, like I think we talked about earlier, Leah, where it just, just trying to get it edited and getting everything just right, and getting the pages formatted and the chapters, and every time you go in to preview it, you find another typo or another page isn't right. So it's really just investing that time. And when you're a mom and you have other obligations and you have constant distractions, I think that's really the biggest challenge.
So what about promoting Zipping It Up? What have you been doing to help get the word out?
Well, what I've been doing is going on great podcasts like yours.
Oh, thanks.
And also really, no, I've listened to a few of them, and they're really very informative. I definitely learned something from everyone that I listened to.
Great, thank you.
I've been on radio shows, and one show, it's an award-winning show. It's the Queen Sylvie Show. And she loved me so much, she asked me to come back every month.
Oh, wonderful.
Wow.
I know. So I got like my first radio gig, and I'll be going live tomorrow, and I have a 15-minute spot to talk about health and fitness, and she has millions of listeners, and it's great.
Wow.
That is great. How did you hook up with her? I mean, that seems like a great idea and a great get.
Actually, here's a tip for your audience. I found her on radioguestlist.com.
Great.
And if you go there, you can actually sign up and find out about different radio shows and podcasts who are looking for guest speakers and experts to be on their show.
Excellent.
That's wonderful.
Excellent. Thank you.
Well, one of the things we're trying to help new authors, like sometimes people just say, who am I to write a book? And it's hard. It's very hard to push yourself to say, okay, I'm going to do this, because you're worried also what people are going to, your friends, your family are going to say about you. Look at all the new opportunities for you.
Absolutely. And Leah, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, writing and publishing my first book changed my life. And It can change anyone's life at any age, at any time in your life. And I really believe that every single person has something to share, a story to tell, or whether it's a superpower, that something they know that they can teach others. Everyone can do it. And if I can do it, believe me, if I can do it, anyone can do it. And I agree with you. And it's hard. It seems daunting, I think, is a word that people have said to me. And it seemed that way for me. But now that I've gone through the process, I just feel like I want to help others get their book published. And that's exactly what you guys are doing, which is why I love your podcast.
Well, thank you.
Other people.
And we thank you. That's what we want to do too, is help other people and give them the know that someone's rooting for them. Everyone you can feel like you're alone, and we're like, no, you're not alone. It's okay. You can do this.
Plus, you can hear someone else's story and relate to it, hopefully.
Right. But I noticed on your website, you have a free guide to becoming a published author. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
It's just a little PDF I threw together, but it's a very easy, simple checklist, 10 easy steps to start writing your book today. And it's what I did. Just simple things like how to come up with your idea, how to create an idea to get published, the pros and cons of publishing versus self-publishing or going through a traditional publisher, setting deadlines, doing research for your book, things like that. It's just a very easy guideline just to help you get started today.
That's great. So anybody can just go there and sign up for that, and you send it to them for free.
Absolutely. It's free if you just go into my website, irenegabelnick.com, and put in your email address and make sure that you subscribe. And then not only will you get my free 10-step checklist, but you'll also get my daily emails. If you don't want them anymore, you can just unsubscribe. But I share stories about health and fitness sometimes, and about writing book, on how to promote your book, things like that. So I just kind of try to share everyday tips with my readers and my audience. And yeah, it's free.
Excellent. Okay, so I'll put that in our show notes, the link to your webpage, so people can click on that and it'll take them, and it's right on your home page.
It's right on my homepage. I am about to revamp my whole website soon, but it is there. And there's also another link for the power of writing. You could either click on that link, but right on my homepage, it's there, and you can just enter your email address and bam, you'll get it right away.
Great.
Great.
And what about social media? Do you use Facebook?
I do, and I use a lot of social media. I go on Twitter, Instagram. I even use Pinterest. But Facebook is really my primary source of social media. I post blogs, and I actually just started running Facebook ads for my book.
Wow. Okay, great. What was that process? Was that hard to do?
Ooh, not as daunting as I thought. And it's something I procrastinated with. And I just get so much better every day. And I've been taking a lot of Facebook courses and learning how to do the ads and things like that, and it's really been great, and it's a very inexpensive way to start advertising, and it seems to be working for a lot of people. So hopefully it'll work for me too. You can target a very, very direct audience, very specific to your book and to your product, and then as you start to grow and things are progressing, Facebook knows exactly where to send it for you because they want you to succeed. It's a process, and it doesn't happen overnight. But once you kind of learn the algorithms and you learn your market and you do your market research and you know exactly who to target, then it can really be very, very beneficial. I know a lot of authors and business owners who are using it, and they're just growing their email list very quickly.
Excellent.
So I'm hoping it happens to me too. I just started. This is new for me. I mean, I'm just starting to test it and play with different ads. And as I'm learning, I'm definitely seeing some growth.
Great. And you mentioned Pinterest. Not many people really talk about that on our podcast. How are you using that?
I create boards through Canva, which is a free thing that you can just go in there and create different little Pinterest. You can actually even do book covers there too. And I create pins, and I've just been kind of learning a little bit about it too. I haven't had a huge success, but a lot of bloggers have tremendous success with Pinterest. And I just figure, get it out there anywhere on social media, see what works for you, and then whatever works for you, stick with that and just keep growing that. But so I've just been kind of dabbling a little bit in everything to see what's working for me. And then I'll just kind of, keep going in that direction.
Right.
But it's kind of fun. It's sort of fun learning something new. I really do think that what the social media platform that you choose should be the one that works best for your book and your audience. So it really depends on the type of book, because I think that Pinterest seems to be a lot of women. So depending on who you're targeting, because there's a lot of health and weight loss there. So I think that was one of the reasons I did go with Pinterest.
That makes sense. Yep.
And what I'd really like to do, though, is start offering some coaching services. And if someone needs help just getting guided through the Kindle direct publishing process, I mean, I'm your go-to person now. I know it like the back of my hand. I mean, I know the ins and outs. So if that's something that someone needs help with, reach out to me, and I'd be happy to help, even if it's just for a quick question. Connect with me, shoot me an email, and I would be absolutely delighted to help anyone who needs help.
Excellent. And the best way for someone to do that would be on your webpage?
Yep, just go right to my website, irenegabelnick.com. It's GABELNICK.com. And you can either, go into contact me, or once you enter your email address, you'll be getting my emails, and I can just shoot me a quick email and, or reply to one of my emails, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Excellent.
And what about purchasing your book?
Zipping It Up, How to Lose 5 Pounds Fast and Look Great in That Little Black Dress is available on Amazon. It's in Kindle version and also in paperback, and it's officially in stores.
Wow.
And soon, hopefully, going to be in all the stores, but we'll see about that. It's definitely in stores now, and but the best way right now is either to go right to my website where there's a direct link, or just go right to Amazon.
Wonderful.
Excellent.
It sounds like everything is going very, very well for you, so congratulations.
Well, thank you so much. It's been so much fun being on your show, and what you guys are doing is really great.
Oh, thank you, Irene. But thank you very much for coming on our show. You're a wealth of knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Author Inside You podcast with your host, Leah and Matt Rafferty.